Mogul Motivation, empowering and inspiring entrepreneurs and dream chasers worldwide, 1 week at a time. Presented by True Stories Media, and I am your host, Antoine Twiz Taylor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mogul Motivation. Welcome back. I'm happy that you are here. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, it's for the aspiring entrepreneur trying to get over that hump and make things happen. This podcast is for anybody with a dream that wants to go forward and accomplish that dream. Whatever platform you're listening to this podcast on right now, please share, subscribe, and like whatever platform you're listening to it on. But there's a running theme in just life, but there are a couple episodes of Mogul Motivation where I specifically talk about struggle, right? And I talk about struggle because, again, in life, unfortunately, there will be struggle. There's always going to be struggle, especially when you are striving for something that you want, right? And you're not accepting the status quo and what society tells you need to be content and happy with. So there's an episode titled The Struggle Bus. There's an episode titled The Hard Way is the Only Way. There's an episode titled Simple versus Easy, where, your goals are simple. You know what you want is simple, is written down, but it's not easy to execute it. When you get a chance, listen to all of those episodes of Mogul Motivation, The Struggle Bus, The Hard Way is the Only Way, Simple versus Easy. Listen to those 3 episodes. And in those 3 episodes specifically, you will hear me talk a lot about the struggle, about how things are hard, about how it's going to be a lot of obstacles and a lot of adversity that you have to face on your route to accomplish your goals and achieve success. And I don't say that to be a negative Nancy. I don't say that to be a Debbie Downer. I just say it because it's the truth, right? All of these episodes I draw from my own life, my own experience as inspiration to pass on that motivation to you. But I also observe others that have gone through what I've gone through but have achieved success. I also look at life. And like I said a couple times on this episode so far, life is life, and it's always going to be hard in life because when you want something, there is going to be obstacles. Now, having said all of that, I talked to a friend recently, and he was telling me about his journey to becoming a homeowner. And he was in the market to purchase a home, and him and his realtor were looking at all these different houses, and he had his list of things that he wanted in a house, right? And he found a house after looking at a bunch of houses that didn't necessarily check off all the boxes that he wanted, but this house in particular checked off all the boxes that he wanted. Everything he wanted in a house was there, except for the price. Right now, the price was a little bit out of his range. Okay, it was a little bit out of his range, but his realtor suggested that they put in an offer anyway. So they put in an offer, not necessarily at the listing price, but close enough to it, right? Hoping that the seller will accept it. The seller denied it. So he continued on his search, and he found another house. It didn't quite have all the check marks that he wanted, but it would do. And it was within his price range. It was a little further out than what he wanted to be too, but it was within his price range, and he was going to settle for it. So he paid the inspection, and the inspection came back, and then everything, didn't check off on that inspection. So he had to pay for this inspection. Now, his realtor was like, hey, you know what? Maybe we should put in another offer at the first home that you really like, the home that you really want, but it's a little bit out of your budget. Maybe we should put in another offer closer to the listing price, not quite at the listing price, but closer to the listing price to see if the seller would accept it. So they raised their offer by about $10,000. Seller still denied it. So it was at that point he was ready to put in an offer for the other home, the home that was a little further out, the home that still had some things had to be corrected due to the inspection, the home that was within his budget though. He was about to put in an offer on this home, and it was at that moment that the seller for the home that he really wanted contacted his realtor and asked if his buyer still wanted the house. They said yes. He ended up getting the house that he wanted for less than the listing price. It was still a little bit over his budget, but it was less than the listing price. And not only that, his mortgage payment was within his range. But not only was his mortgage payment within his range, it was $200 less than what he expected to pay. So that testimony, as he was on this home buying journey, when he was looking to purchase the home that he wanted, it had everything that he wanted, but it was out of his budget, right? He was going to settle for something else. But then at the last moment, The seller came through for the house that he really wanted and said, I'll take the offer. And not only did he get the house he wanted, but he's paying $200 less than what he expected. That testimony blessed me, and it blessed him, obviously, right? But he said something. He said, when it's meant for you, it's going to be easy. It's going to be easy when it's meant for you. You don't have to fight anymore because you are so used to fighting all your life. And I'm not trying to give an analogy to the color purple, but it's the truth. When you're so used to fighting all your life, you think that you have to continue to fight. But when something is ordained for you by God, when something is literally within line of your journey, it's going to be easy for you. So yes, we are always going to ride the struggle bus at some point in our life. At some point in our life, things are not going to be so simple. At some point in our life, things are not going to be so easy. At some point in our lives, the hard way is going to be the only way. But there is going to come a time in your life. There is going to come a chapter in your journey and in your story where things are going to be smooth sailing. It's going to be a clear path for you to just walk into what is reserved for you. And that blessed me so much when he was telling me about his home buying journey. And that's what I'm trying to pass on to you, ladies and gentlemen, on this morning, on this episode of Mogul Motivation. Yes, you're going to ride the struggle bus. Yes, the hard way is going to be the only way sometimes. Yes, sometimes it's not going to be so simple. It's not going to be so easy, but there is going to come a point in your life where there are going to be no obstacles. There's going to be a clear path, and that door is going to open not by your own strength, but by God's strength. So whatever that house is that you want, whatever that car is that you want, whatever that career is that you want, whatever that goal is that you want, that you have on your vision board, whatever it is you want to achieve in your entrepreneurial journey and in your business, when it's ordained for you and when it is ready for you and when God opens that door for you, it's no longer going to be hard. It's going to be a clear path and you can just walk right on in it. And that feeling is going to be so refreshing. It's going to bless you. It's going to literally make you understand that your power is not what's going to open those doors. Your power, your genius, your creativity, your intellect, your plans is not what's going to clear that path. It's God's plans. And when God's plans perfectly intersect with your plans, at that moment, at that juncture, everything is going to be easy for you and it's going to be so good. Now, here's the thing. Things are not going to get to that point unless you develop the faith to understand that it's easy. That's why the struggle bus is important. That's why some things have to be hard. That's why some things can't be so simple, because you have to develop that faith. You have to work that faith out. You have to strengthen that courage and that spirituality and that relationship with God in order to trust that God is going to do what God can only do. So unless you trust God, unless you really develop that faith, unless you really go through all of these learning pains, unless you really ride that struggle bus long enough to understand that God is still in the driver's seat, unless you understand that things are hard, but God is still going to make things so easy for you later on down the road, unless you really understand and trust that and have that confidence in things that you cannot see, you will never get to that intersection where God's plans and your plans intersect. You will never get there and things will never open up for you because you don't have the faith. I truly believe that everything worked out for my friend's favor on his home buying journey because he had the faith. He had already went through the rigors of life. He already went through some things that tested him. He's already went through that. And you are going through things right now that's testing you. So understand there will come a time where everything is going to be a clear path for you. All those obstacles will be eliminated. You won't have to fight anymore. You won't have to do no heavy lifting. All you have to do is just walk and trust that that pavement is going to be there each step of the way and that you are going to walk through that door. You just have to trust it, ladies and gentlemen. So that's my message this morning. Let's continue to work. Let's continue to imagine reality. There's going to come a point when you're on that struggle bus, going down that road, you're going to come to an intersection where God's plans meets your plans. And then eventually the hard way won't be the only way. Then eventually things will be simple and things will be easy. And everything you desire will fall into your lap. That's the good news right there. And understand, the journey never ends. So even though you're at this intersection where God's plans and your plans meet, you're going to keep going forward. And then eventually you're going to meet some more rocky road. Then your faith is going to be tested again. And then you're going to have to work it out again. You're going to have to strengthen it again for the next intersection. That is how life is. That is how entrepreneurship is. That is how career building is. That's how it is. And that's how it's going to be. And it's a beautiful thing because we get better. We get wiser. And our faith gets stronger. every single step of the way. If this podcast has benefited you in any way, shape, or form, I ask for two things as always. Number one, leave a 5-star review. And number two, pass it on to a friend that may benefit from it as well. Have a great day, everybody. I'll talk to you next week.